such a full room this afternoon. Thanks everyone for coming. I think we should get the show on the road. It's my pleasure to introduce this afternoon's seminar and Professor Greg Woods, whose retirement we're marking this afternoon. Greg's service to the university has been very long and very significant. Greg joined the university in 1978 to work in what was the Department of Medicine as a research assistant, and he was awarded his PhD in 1984. After working in the Department of Medicine, he spent 2 years as a postdoctoral fellow at the Mount Sinai Hospital Research Institute in Toronto, before returning to the Department of Medicine. In 2005, Greg became one of a group of researchers in the Faculty of Health who committed a fraction of their time to working with Menzies, the Menzies Research Institute as it was then, with a 50-50 appointment with the School of Medicine, and that arrangement has continued to the present. Over almost 30 years as an academic, Greg has undertaken senior teaching, research and administrative responsibilities. His teaching has covered a range of areas, particularly immunology, but also microbiology and molecular biology. His research has centred around cancer and has included leukemia and skin cancer and UV irradiation and its effect on the immune system. Greg has gained a significant international reputation for his research on the Tasmanian devil facial tumour disease, where he leads a group working towards a vaccine to reduce the harm from this awful disease. And I know we'll hear more about that soon. It's important that we note some of Greg's key achievements and honours. In 2011, he was part of a five-member team. He was awarded the Sherman Eureka Award for Environmental Science, and he received a fellowship of the Faculty of Science, Royal College of Pathologists of Australasia. In 2015, he received the Australian Society for Medical Research Certificate in Recognition of Distinguished Service to Medicine, Science and the Community. Greg's research achievements include grants totalling over $3 million in the last 10 years alone. He's supervised more than 20 PhD students and more than 50 honours students, and has an extensive record of research publications and presentations. My colleague, Professor Ben Canny, who's head of the School of Medicine, will also make some remarks at the end of the seminar in relation to the School of Medicine. So it really remains for me to say that on behalf of Menzies, we wish you well in your retirement, Greg. We're deeply grateful for your enormous contribution to research, your collegiality, your collaboration and extremely good nature, and the wonderful care that you provide to your students and staff in your team. We're equally grateful that you will actually continue to work with us in your retirement. Importantly, to advance the really important work you and your team are doing on the devil facial tumour disease. So Greg, I know your seminar will capture the fascinating journey that you've taken in your research, and I'm sure too your talk will showcase why you've been such a popular teacher and colleague. Thanks, Greg.
I was really grateful for somebody to so in fact I'm quite humbled to see the turnout, especially those who come all the way from the floors above. Outside the building. It's really great. You'll probably notice that this lecture is being recorded. So that's for the senior academics amongst us who might doze off halfway through, and they can watch it later on to make sure I haven't said anything about them. I've called it a lifelong journey because I've been teaching for almost 30 years, and my reckoning is each semester there's 13 weeks. So each year there's 26 weeks, so 30 times 26 equals 780. So I've got quite a bit to get through. I shall talk as quickly as I can to make sure we can get out of here before it's too late. Can you guys hear me after that, okay? That's bad luck. title it Some Things Change and Some Things Stay the Same. If you haven't been around here for a while, lots of things have moved on rapidly, and some things just don't get any better or any worse. And also, just to keep your attention, I've got a small prize partway through the competition, just to keep you alert. So part of research, one of the benefits is you get to travel all around the world, and you get to work in different labs. I've had the opportunity to work in different labs across the world. It also has a disadvantage because you have to travel all the time, and it is quite stressful. And I started off in Melbourne, because I'm actually not Tasmanian, I was actually born in Melbourne, but I've been here for more than half my life, so it almost makes me local. And then I came across to Hobart to work with Ray Lowenthal, which I thought would be for 1 year. I've been here sort of ever since, and I'm glad that I have been. And this is the lab when we first started. That's myself. And Roger Harlow, who was a PhD postdoc. Kathy Dura. Kathy was one of the first PhD students. I was about the second. When I did my PhD, there were 2 of us in the whole faculty doing PhDs. And that was only 40 years ago. So. And this is and this is of course Ray. Ray likes his photo because I'm making almost as tall as what I am. And this is where I started. I started on T cells because back in the 80s, T cells were the most important cells, so we thought well, and a couple of things I need to point out here. This is my desk, and the desk you notice is in the lab, which was very common in the 80s. Your desk used to be in the lab. And of course, right here is next to the fume hood. I just hope that is still not here. But I'm sure there was nothing really toxic in that lab. When it was lunchtime, we did put the lid down. The other important feature is this particular chair here. Ergonomically designed, but also it is a twin chair. Why do I say a twin chair? Because 4 members of the lab sat on that chair and had twins. Go back one slide. Kathy Dewar was a twin. I think she sat on the chair first. I had twins. One of them was here with us today. Roger Harlow had twins. Paul Cosson had twins. And Jane Sawyer had twins, which was, I don't know, I think there's got to be something in there. So I started to work on T cells, and the model was, and sorry, this has come straight out of my thesis, these are hand-drawn, right? Not with a computer, hand-drawn. Right, you get a little template and you do these things. You spend hours, right? If you made a mistake, and the whole damn thing again. So what was getting some blood, separating into the 1 nuclear cells, and putting them into liquid culture and stimulating with PHA. pH is a lectin, phytohemagglutinin, which was very important back in the 80s. I'm going to come back to that because it's important for what we've been doing now. Then those cells will get activated, and we'll put them into an agar plate, a petri dish, and add some sheep red blood cells, and they will go into colonies, and I'd spend my day counting those particular colonies. So the technique I had was that we had an activation phase and a proliferation phase, and you needed the sheep red blood cells. This is to grow T cells, and to understand their function. And so I got quite a few publications, myself and Ray. We worked on these T cells and looked at the red blood cell requirements, where red cells needed IL-2. IL-2 was called IL-2 because it was the second cytokine discovered. So they called IL-2, and it was very important back then. So I was at the leading edge, understanding the function of this particular cytokine that made T cells grow. It used to be called T cell growth factor, and it was termed IL-2. And there's other antibody called anti-TAC, and try to understand it. Now, to grow those cultures, we had to identify that they were T cells. This is back in the 80s. And I had to get them out of the colonies, single cell with a little pipette, which I used to make under the Bunsen burner, stretch them so you get a very small size, and pull them out of the colony, out of the agar, and then at the bottom, I load because it was quite a rough way of doing it. And look for E rosettes and M rosettes and surface IG. E rosettes. What are E rosettes? E rosettes are when you're buying sheep red blood cells. Red blood cells are called erythrocytes, right? They mix them with the mononuclear cells, and the red blood cells will stick to the T cells. They were called E rosettes. And it so happened that sheep red blood cells, for some reason, stuck to T cells. And that was the way we identified T cells. In fact, the cell marker lab, we analysed leukemic patients, you identified patients that had T cell leukemia by the fact that their sheep red blood cells were attached to the T cells. And there's another group called M rosettes. M are from mouse, and they happen to bind to B cells. But those B cells weren't any kind of B cells. Those B cells were found in chronic lymphoid, chronic lymphocytic leukemia. And so we identified the B cells, and surface IG was just to identify the B cells. So this is a picture of a rosette, and it could tell you that most of them were, which is viability of rosettes told us that they were T cells. So I knew it was growing T cells. Now, one day, we ran out of mouse red blood cells. So we had to go to the local pet shop to get some mice, and we were given careful instructions how to keep this mouse, how to feed it, and make sure it lived a long and healthy life. We never went back to that. Now, interesting, how things have changed. One thing that's changed, E rosettes, that is now what that bound to on the T cell is now called CD2. It's a receptor that T cells use to proliferate, and it would bind to LFA3 on the sheep red blood cells. So even back then, had these interactions, this integrin, by the red blood cells and the E rosettes. And the mouse rosettes, M, is now known as CD20, which is a marker of CLL. And it's interesting, over time, these things change. They also found that we needed adherent cells. They're cells that stick, that if we grew the cultures, which just total blood, mononuclear cells, lymphocytes, they would grow. If we took out the adherent cells, they wouldn't grow. But if we took them out in the second part of the culture, they would grow. They told us that we needed adherent cells at the beginning of the culture. And that's starting to get the interaction that cells don't grow because of themselves, they need help. And they needed help from these adherent cells. And this is one where discovered we need IL-2, so I just have to colour it in for you. But in the presence of IL-2, if you had PHA and PHA in both cultures, you've got nice colony growth. If you substitute the PHA with IL-2 in the second phase, you've got colony growth. So what happens is that at the activation start phase, the T cells will get activated, and for them to grow, they needed some growth factor. What would that growth factor be called? T cell growth factor, or IL-2. So this was I worked this out in that culture. If you swap them around, it wouldn't work at all. So they did IL-2. To prove it, you have to block it. And they had this antibody called anti-TAC, which wrote off. And TAC stands for activated T cell, T activated cell. And we found that if you added anti-TAC, it blocked the IL-2 and stopped it from growing. So we published this in the journal showing that human T lymphocyte colonies require IL-2 inhibited by anti-TAC, which is I thought was a very important advance, the requirements of IL-2 in that proliferative phase. We start to understand how T cells grow. Anti-TAC binds to CD25, we now know, unactivated T cells, and that's an actual marker that picks up Tregs, a very important T cell that's become very fashionable in the last 10 years or so. So then I developed this model, which I thought was a really complicated model, so I'll run through this with you quite quite slowly, is that you have these adherent cells. They'll produce a factor, which we call interleukin-1. Interleukin-1 was the first cytokine discovered, so it was called interleukin-1. And then the PHA would activate these cells to make IL-2, and these T cells, which form collies, cytokine cells, would be activated. And then in the second reaction, the IL-2 would be produced and activate these cells, allow them to proliferate, and you became a colony. And that took me 40 years to work out. And I thought that was really good. And unfortunately, that model has changed a little bit in the last few years, in that we now have these interactions at this stage here. Mine was like that, and now it is this interaction. And then one of the postdocs in our lab, Andy Flees, has made it more complicated, because these interactions, some of them are positive to cause proliferation, and some of them are negative to stop it down. So it's got quite a complex picture, that you have positive and negative signals to cause T cells to proliferate, and tumour cells will hijack some of the inhibiting molecules to allow them to stop the T cells from killing them. So it's a very clever way in which T cells adapt, and that's some of the therapies that are used now to treat leukemias. I do prefer this model. That's not I understand. I just want to mention this something. This is something that we did during our Christmas holidays. This was David Griffiths, who was the chair of anaesthetics, and he wanted to do a research project. So I was from the Royal Harbour Hospital, and he came to see me and said, I want to do a research project, what can we do? And I said, well, I've got this system that's very complicated, but what we can do is we can see whether anaesthetic gas affects T cells. In fact, we actually looked at NK functions. And so what we did was, during the Christmas break, when it was quiet in the hospital, we didn't have any patients, I would go across the blood bank. The blood bank. That blood bank used to be where Sinclair's is now, the corner of Liverpool and Argyle Street. All I had to do was go over there with a tube, go in there, and I would take 10 tubes and say, excuse me, can you fill up these 10 tubes? And I'd have to get it at the end of their blood collection, before the patients had their milkshake or their beer. I would get the blood and take it back to the lab and say, no questions asked. I had to ask the patient how to do that. And I'm very, very willing to do that, bring it back and culture the lab. And so what we discovered was that anaesthetic gases do inhibit NK activity, but it's reversible. And this was done over 3 days, Christmas and New Year, written up, published, and it was one of the papers with the most citations. It wasn't quite fair, but I was really impressed with this. And also, David Griffiths, he came to the lab and said, if I give you $300, can you do this project for me? And which he did, which I thought was very generous of him. So that's a bit of it. Now then we move to Toronto to undertake some further studies to look at molecular biology and immunotherapy. That's me on the right. The photo on the right. But notice the advance. We're still in the lab, still at ergonomic chairs, but we're away from the funeral. So I think I solved our desk problem. So, trying to take up the whole field of molecular biology, just trying to understand the field of molecular biology and immunotherapy, and worked at the Mount Sinai Hospital Research Institute, which is now at the Sam Lennon field, and looked for T cells. These were called T4 plus cytotoxic T cells. I worked with a man called Atsu Ochi, which Scott did a postdoc with as well a few years later. And we looked at immunotherapy using a mouse model and melanomas. Now, T4 positive cytotoxic T cells are CD4 T cells. Now, CD4 T cells aren't cytotoxic, but we discovered a population of cells which were cytotoxic. So we thought, okay, if we compare these to the non-cytotoxic cells, we can discover what makes them cytotoxic. We're looking for something that made them cytotoxic. So we tried to clone the gene for cytotoxicity, because back then it wasn't known. And so we spent a fair bit of time, 2 years trying to do it. didn't find it, but did some other studies as well to look at immunotherapy, which has been going on for many years. And also had the opportunity to work with a man called Victor Ling. Victor Ling discovered P-glycoprotein. What is P-glycoprotein? P-glycoprotein is a protein found in cancer cells that is a drug efflux pump. What's the drug efflux pump do? A drug efflux pump pumps drugs. That's why patients become resistant to drugs, because P-glycoprotein increases expression and the cancer drugs get pumped straight back out. So I was privileged to work with him, and I've been waiting for him to win the Nobel Prize to say that I have published with him, but it hasn't quite happened. So we looked at whether this P-glycoprotein had a function in resistance to the cell killing. And we found it a little bit. And when we came back here, we worked with a group here at Chrissy Trammers to try to understand P-glycoprotein in NK cells, and discovered that it's not that simple. We discovered what was called a mini P-glycoprotein, and the whole field has become very complex. So it's another field that's changed. Something simple, when you start to look at it, it gets more complicated. Then we discovered a smaller form of P-glycoprotein. Then when I returned back, I think that was the last time I held it with a pet. Came back and it was claimed with a big hope to build a killer disease. So this is one of my first interactions with the local paper. The article was written by Louise Bauer. It was very good, but her main role, she was a fashion reporter. Which, you know, that's quite a contradiction. And she wrote quite a good story, and I was told by that make sure she's got the story right, so make sure she reads it back to you so it's correct. So she read it back to me, I picked up a few corrections, and she wrote it quite well, but my North American accent had confused her a bit. I discovered a new population of cells called I'm only just over this, and I regret putting it up again. But we were trying to identify the cytotoxic gene, so we didn't quite get it, and we were that close to discovering, we weren't that close, but later on it was discovered what we were looking for was perf and granzymes. We were that close to it. But that's what we're looking for. But came back and started doing some molecular biology, and then eventually got a job back in the lab, and then became more involved in Medical Research Week, ASMR, trying to promote research training, because he came back there was very little around. So this is back in 1988, saying we don't have a lot of funds, and saying that the state government doesn't provide much support, which one of those things that doesn't seem to change. We've always been pushing for funding ever since, so that was part of my role. And at the time, we started establishing a molecular biology lab, and with Adrian West and Jenny Overton, we got the molecular biology lab established in the university, and also involved in establishing the molecular biology lab in the hospital, which is now both labs at the hospital is still going. So I feel quite proud to be involved in that. And then we looked at the multi-drug resistance, which we talked about before. Then I moved across to pathology and left the molecular biology behind and started looking at cell biology. Sadly, Con died just yesterday, and he was interested in dendritic cells. He was great interest. He loved his going back to Texas, to Houston, and we were interested in a group of cells called dendritic cells. So I then moved to pathology, where I really started my academic career, where I was teaching immunology and doing research. It was also when I sort of first got exposed to the Delta, because Con he was a bit of a devil, you know. If you work with him, you understand what he means. You could argue with him, but he was he had a great successful career. He published a lot. He was a great facilitator. He made great advances in the College of Pathologists. He worked as academic dean for a while, and it's very sad that he passed away yesterday. So we were interested in dendritic cells. Con also had a great interest in Test cricket, and we'd only go to conferences in Australia if there was a Test match there at the same time. And you'd often find him in his office with the radio on, and you knew if Australia was batting and we hadn't lost any wickets, you wouldn't interrupt him. The other thing Con was famous for, which goes back to Con O'Malley as a senior academic, he had the ability to fall asleep in tutorials and lectures. Right? Straight away. Not only would he fall asleep, he had this ability to snore. And I'm sure his snoring kept everyone else awake. But what would happen when it came to question time, he would wake up and ask these most intelligent, erudite questions. And you go, why didn't I think of that? So when you guys were asleep, I know you're thinking up. So it's sad that Tom died just yesterday. So we're working on a group of cells called Langerhans cells, which are dendritic cells, and this is a model where this is the skin. You put antigen on the skin, it goes into epidermis, which is the top layer of the skin, pick up these Langerhans cells, goes down to the lymph node and activates the T cell, and you get an immune response. So we're trying to analyse the immune response looking at that. But what we do is applying carcinogens to mouse skin that would cause cancer, but it also would suppress the immune system. And we're working out that particular mechanism there as to what was happening. And we used that mechanism with one of my earlier PhD students, Clark Shen, who sadly died last year as well. We had a model where mice were thymectomized at 3 days of age. That means you take the thymus out, and they would develop a disease called autoimmune gastritis. The reason why they developed that is because the regulatory T cells were removed and they got autoimmunity. So we discovered that if we put chemical carcinogen on the skin, make the environment suppressive, put the antigen through, and we developed tolerance. And we thought that was a good cure for autoimmune disease. It didn't get any further, but that sort of mechanism is what's happening why cancers don't respond effectively. So I just brought that one up. So we started to look at the acquisition of immune function during age. And the first publication we had with Kathleen and my good collaborator Bruce Lyons way back in 2001, almost last century. So now we're moving into the 21st century, you'll be pleased to know. The techniques are still fairly basic and fairly interesting. And what we had was you put an antigen through the skin, TNCB, which is the contact sensitizer. A week later, put on the mouse ear, and you measure how thick the mouse ear is, and that was a measure of in vivo immune response. And you spend days and days and days with the mice measuring their ears. And what we found was that the mice, at 3 days, 7 days, 14 days, and 6 weeks, their immune system gradually improved, and as an adult you got a good response, and neonate got a poor response. That told us that the immune system was gradually developing as the animal got older. And this is sort of a concept of neonatal tolerance. And it's getting back to a point I want to get is that early on in life is very important for development, and we're using this in a mouse model. And another model we had was we applied FITC. FITC is a fluorescent molecule, it's an antigen, and it's quite large. It will be trapped by the dendritic cells and taken down to the lymph nodes, and we can analyse the cells because they were all nice and fluorescent. And you could see what was happening. And what we discovered was that mice at 3 days of age didn't have the capacity to trap the antigen and take them down to the lymph node. This one showed an increase, a bigger increase, and at 6 weeks you get a lot of antigen down the lymph node. So gradually they're acquiring their ability to develop the immune response by trapping lots of antigen, taking down the lymph node and activating the T cells. And I won't go into detail, but also they didn't have the co-stimulating molecules. So this low reduction in antigen, low reduction in molecules to stimulate the immune system was resulting in an immune response not being effective, which indicates that at an early stage in life, the immune system hasn't been established yet. So to summarise that in the immature Langerhans cells, in the early age of life, they can't take antigen, they can't activate T cells, and they prevent the contact sensitivity. So we started to look about the development. So what's special about this early period of life? And it's not just in mice, but the early period of life in humans is critically important. You know, you have to choose the right genes, the right parents get the right genes. You also have to choose that right environment in the perinatal and neonatal periods to make sure your immune system is fully functional. So this is the skin environment. That's the keratin layer. There's the epidermis and the dermis, whereas the adult is much thinner. And we did what was proteomics way back 10 years ago, comparing day 4 skin with day 21 skin. It looks a mess. With some computer programming, we detected this molecule here, which we identified as being Stefan A. Why is that important? Because Stefan A and MHC class 2 shows you the dendritic cells, these are present in the skin. Stefan A is the red, the background are the keratinocytes, but where it's this colour here, and it's hard to see, but there's one there showing the two together. Using confocal microscope, that's the adult skin where you don't see it. Using confocal microscope, you see that's the dendritic cell, MHC class 2, Stefan A, and they are together. So this Stefan A, or cystatin A, was stopping the cells from presenting antigen. If you look at the adult mice, all they had was the MHC class 2. So something special about this MHC class 2 and Stefan A interaction. The cells couldn't present antigen effectively, so they wouldn't induce an immune response. So we used the proteomics back then to try to understand this mechanism. Just summarise that. Then, back in 2003, had a student who started a PhD, Eileen Ronsky, and worked with a vet, Barry Monday, who was quite a legend. He was a really dynamic vet. Wanted to understand. He taught me about dasyurids, and it was the first time I got involved with marsupials and dasyurids. And basically had a program where we immunised platypus and kidney with red blood cells and looked at their immune response. I wasn't to know that 10 years later I'd get back into this particular field. So it's funny how sort of things happen. Maybe they happen for a reason. I don't know. Well, maybe it's just random. I then went to Edinburgh to work with Professor Maria Norval. The idea was to learn some photoimmunology, because photoimmunology, that's the effect of light on the immune system, will be relevant to Australia. Because we do get lots of light around here, lots of sunshine, and we do get lots of skin cancer. So that was a way in which you could get lots of research funding. And by chance, we worked on a sheep retrovirus and lung cancer, because that was happening at the labs at the same time. Now, that cancer was called ovine pulmonary adenocarcinoma. It was caused by a virus called Yersinia virus. It is contagious in the patient with sheep lungs, similar to devil patient disease, but it was caused by a virus. And if it got into farms, it would be a threat to international trade, because you don't want this to be spread out. And it caused the production of excess secretion in the particular lungs. And does anybody remember Dolly the sheep? She died of this disease, which a lot of people don't know, but I now you know. And because you believe what I'm saying, you don't believe that you now know. But you don't know what I say, you don't know if that's really true or not. It is true. So, very scientific, which a lot of stuff we do now is that this is a sheep, and to get the extract from the lungs, all you had to do was tilt the sheep up and collect it and analyse it. So this is also something that's sort of preempt what was going to happen later on, because it's starting to get involved with a contagious neoplasm, but this time it was in sheep, or it was caused by a virus. Now, I won't go into the details, but we found that macrophages, CD40 positive macrophages, were involved. They were attracted to the surfactant, which is a lot of that stuff that was secreted in those lungs, and that was causing a suppressive environment, so that the immune system wouldn't kill the cancer cells or the virus. I also did some work on, which I was there for, some photoimmunology. And I just put this up because it's a decrease in Langerhans cells, dendritic cells, after chronic exposure of mice to subperitoneal doses of solar stimulated radiation. What does that mean? That means low levels of sunlight continuously. Because back then, a lot of the research in UV was giving large doses of UV and looking at responses. We started looking at doses that were relevant, and it was called solar stimulated because it represented sunlight. Early on in the photoimmunology, we're using UVB at very high amounts, not representing sunlight whatsoever, and still done a bit today, and trying to understand that. And we found that solar stimulated light did cause quite a significant effect on the immune system. And it really quite scary what sunlight can do to the immune system. So then we came back and tried to establish that research in Tasmania. And this work showed that exposure to UV radiation, sunlight, during the neonatal period increased the risk of melanoma. So there's evidence in epidemiology and in the laboratory. We're asking, well, what is happening in the mouse system when they get exposed to neonatal light very early on in life? So we established this technique. There's Langerhans cells that pick up the antigen, take it down the lymph nodes, and present to T cells. What would happen if we irradiated these mice with sunlight? What's going to happen to the immune response? And do that at different ages of the mouse's life, very early on, middle age, or not middle age, teenage to older years. Teenage being about 10 days old. And so we looked at the Langerhans cells. The Langerhans cells you can find on the back of your hand. If you have a look now, have a look at the back of your hand, look very carefully, look below the keratin, in the epidermis. What can you see? You should see a network of Langerhans cells. They're quite small. In a square millimetre, that's 1 millimetre by 1 millimetre. They'll be about 500 to 1,000, so they're quite small. Anyone see any? No. So what we did was that mice at 3 days of age were given some ultraviolet light, not a lot, just a little bit of ultraviolet light, solar stimulated light, and we looked at the development of this. That's what's happened in an old mouse. The number of cells increases. Till about 8 days later, that it reached the maximum. What happened with the mice that were subject to the UV is those cells disappeared and they came back rapidly. So the development was changing, right? They came back very quickly, and we're saying, well, what's this going to do to their immune system? So then we looked at the lymph node, lots of data there, but there was nothing special in the lymph node, except maybe just across here. And we found that there was a slight increase in a population of cells called CD25 positive T cells. What are CD25 T cells? They are Tregs. Also, these are, at this stage here, if we're antigens that produce carriage. So what we found was that just an exposure to a little bit of sunlight early on in life altered the development of the skin immune system, that you got an increase in cells that suppress the immune response, which are these cells here, and you got a reduced ability to present, so the immune system was suppressed. So therefore, if any cancer cells developed, such as melanoma, they would increase risk. So that got us thinking that really that early period in life is critically important to developing a healthy immune system. And that just shows you that the T cells when functioning. So the neonatal exposure to ultraviolet light, it alters the skin immune system and suppresses immunity in adulthood. Now, sunlight is also associated with something else, which is called vitamin D. Everyone's doing it these days. We did it first. We looked at it first. Right? So what about vitamin D? So we established a model with Roslyn Malley, developed a model of vitamin D deficiency. So what happened at 3 weeks of age, the mice were commenced on a vitamin D3 deficient diet. We developed this food that didn't have any vitamin D. We had to increase the calcium so the bones would develop normally. And then at 8 weeks of age, we confirmed that they had a low vitamin D3 levels. They were allowed to give birth to offspring, and these offspring were the mice that we used. So we're called D-, which means vitamin D deficient, and D+ means vitamin D replete. Is everyone taking vitamin D supplements at the moment? Who is? Who's not? Right. And so what we found was that we would treat this mice with this model, add the allergen, ear thickness, and see what happened with vitamin D deficient and vitamin D replete mice, see what the responses were happening. And what we discovered is that vitamin D deficiency that enhances the contact sensitivity, that actually improves the response in male but not female mice. And that showed them D-, a better response than the D+, and the females were no different. So that vitamin D in the female mice seemed to reduce the response. That's not a bad thing, it's sort of controlling it much more effectively. Increased response, you run the risk of autoimmune disease. And then we looked at what happens to DNA damage, because vitamin D also protects you from DNA damage. When you get exposed to sunlight, the UV gets into your DNA and causes damage, and they're called thiamine dimers, which you can identify. Vitamin D protects that particular damage. And what we discovered was that male mice, it didn't affect, but females, it did seem to protect more effectively than male mice. So we made the major discovery that males are different to females. That's also important because a lot of times when research is done, you don't know what gender the animals are. And there are differences in response, so it's very important to dissect out those responses. So that's a quick summary there. Then we end up with the devil. There's a bit of publicity about the devil becoming devil facial tumour disease occurring. So because I was interested in cancer and how cancer escapes the immune system, this is obviously a logical study to follow. And a number of collaborators. Firstly, with Liz Virtus and Tony Patmos, we discovered that the Schwann cells were the cancer cells causing devil facial tumour disease. So devil facial tumour disease is a cancer of Schwann cells. Now, human Schwann cell cancers are really rare, but for some reason the devils get a Schwann cell cancer. And with Cesar Tovar, we developed a marker called periaxin, which is a very nice diagnostic marker to identify DFTD. And we've been using it ever since, so that becomes important a little bit later on. So then, why is this tumour being transmitted from animal to animal? It should get rejected. The immune system of the recipient devil should recognise these cancer cells as foreign and reject them. Our first research was to try to analyse whether the immune response was defective in the Tasmanian devil. So had a vet from Brazil who had no English, no laboratory skills, but oodles of confidence. And with Barry Wells, Barry was the animal welfare officer at the stage, great experience in marsupials. So we started to do some basic experiments just to analyse the immune response of the Tasmanian devil. And just very basic immunology. The stuff we did back in the 1980s was when I first started looking at immunology. And this formed the base of Alex's PhD thesis. By the end of this thesis, he became very competent in the skills, and he was an excellent person to have in the laboratory. I know I got here because he sent me an email. His energy's still not great. He said, "I'm feeling sickly today." So, didn't make it today. So we used mitogen, and one of those mitogens we used was called PHA. Remember PHA? Way back when I first started, the simple mitogens. So we've gone back to the technology back in those days, and all it says is they responded quite well. With Gabby Brown, we immunised the cells with a leukemic cell line to see if they responded. They got a good response. So the immune response is functioning quite normally. We thought, well, maybe there's something about the fact that they can't recognise grafts. The T cells function, they've got lymph nodes, they've got spleen, they've got all those important requirements for a healthy immune system. Maybe there's something about the response that they can't reject grafts. So we got Frank Kimball, a plastic surgeon. He volunteered his time on a Friday, because that's when he didn't have his clinic. He quite enjoyed it. And it's really neat equipment. And so he helped us do these things. But we thought all we had to do was get a little punch box and do it from one to the other, but that failed miserably because all the devils scratched it off completely. So, and the other thing that we discovered was that devils, if they get an injury, they recover really quickly. So if you're looking for the skin graft healing, if you blinked, it was healed and you wouldn't notice it. So what we did was we got devils and did an autograft, which is the devil's graft from itself to some other part of the body, so that should be the same. So that should not get rejected. And an allograft. An allograft is a graft from one animal to another animal of the same species. And that's what humans have when you have a tissue, an organ transplant. And we monitored it every 7 days. So Frank would do the surgery, and we found that we had to, that's the control and that's the autograft. And to avoid them scratching it, the devils would work quite nicely. We had to monitor quite regularly so it wouldn't get too much damage. And what we found was that at day 7, the grafts took quite nicely. So I think, okay, there's something, this is working okay, that the devils can't undergo the allograft response. There's no evidence of immune response. But by day 14, you can clearly see that's looking white and quite healthy. That one's starting to go a bit necrotic. And look at the tissue, the few lymphocytes, and there you can see lots of lymphocytes. And by day 21, it had died completely. So it had been rejected. So the graft got rejected, and the theory that they couldn't reject allografts was also rejected. So the allograft theory told us that devils can reject allografts. So they have the capacity to reject other tissues, so there must be something else. So the devils have a competent immune system, and so a suppressed immune system didn't explain why the grafts would get rejected. And the more we looked at it, the better the devil's immune system was. When we first did our studies on the marsupial immune system, we used to think the marsupials had a very poor immune system. But our work on the Tasmanian devil has shown that devils do have a good immune system. It's just different to ours because they get exposed to different sorts of pathogens. So then Terry Pinfold used a mouse model and thought, well, maybe there's something special about the tumour cells. So put these tumour cells into mice, and the tumours did grow quite well, and analysed the responses. And just quickly going through it. This is Terry's PhD in 10 seconds. Basically showed that girls immunised with DFT, mice immunised with DFT cells produced an immune response. So there wasn't something special about the DFT cells that prevents an immune response. They weren't producing massive suppressive factors. Well, what the answer became with the collaborator Hannah Sewell, who's now at the University of Southampton, is they don't express MHC. I won't go into details with MHCs. Basically, the tumour cells are invisible to the cell's immune system. When you have a graft, as someone has an organ transplant, you have to match the donor with the recipient. So with these recipients, if the donor and recipient are the same, they get rejected. But if that gene is not present, that they're invisible, so the gene will grow. So they don't express it. But we discovered the switch to turn those genes on, and that was with the cytokine called interferon gamma. Now, some of you, when you get a cold, you start to get symptoms. Aching joints, runny nose, sneezing. That's due not to the virus, but due to the innate immune system, the interferons, The other thing that interferons do is they upregulate the immune system, including MHC. We discovered that interferon gamma would upregulate the MHC, and so we thought if we cultured these cells with interferon gamma, what's going to happen to the MHC? It got turned back on. So now we know that if we treat these cells in the laboratory, the MHC is turned back on, and it should induce an immune response. Again, I won't go into all the details, but the tumours are modified, and they do produce an immune response. And we're lucky that last year we published a couple of dells of tumours. If they were injected, if the tumours developing here, if they were injected with live MHC positive cells, the immune response kicked in, and the tumours regressed. And that tells you the paradox of the tumours. And this here tells you an immune response is taking place. So we had the proof of concept that live or MHC positive cells injected into dells will induce an immune response. So that's been the basis of our immunisation procedure to try to induce an immune response. So that the tumour cells don't express MHC. If you culture them to express it, they become visible to the dell immune system and you get an immune response. But Dr. Flees in our lab also discovered that if you treat the cells with interferon gamma, MHC goes up, but also do these other molecules, such as PD-L1, these are inhibiting molecules. So if you culture them for too long, the cells, rather than being stimulatory cells, they actually will suppress the immune system. So you've got to get the balance right. So part of our research at the moment is to try and develop cell lines that don't express these inhibitory genes, but only express these activator genes. And that goes back to that first slide I showed you, where I showed my model of T cells, and you had the activation and inhibitory receptors. So the more you learn, the less you know. Sorry, the more you learn, the more you learn, the more you know, the more you need to know, or something like that. It gets more complicated the more you understand. So what's simple gets more complex. And then we're trying to take a look at how we can promote a better immune response. And Amanda, who has got 4 weeks today before thesis submission, was looking at a group called TLR genes. TLR stands for toll-like receptors. Now, there's an urban myth about the discovery of the toll-like receptors, and if I say it to you, we'll spread that urban myth and soon become a fact. Is that toll-like receptors were discovered in the fruit fly. Who works on a fruit fly? They are actually important for the immune system, believe it or not. Very dark. I'll explain to this side. What they discovered was that they discovered these receptors called toll-like receptors, which are important in embryogenesis, that were important in the immune response in the fruit fly. And it was discovered in Germany, and one of the boss of the lab said, anyone speak German here? Uh-oh. Said, das ist a toll. And the person heard, das ist a toll, which means that's fantastic, or something like that. And the English person heard the word toll and thought, interpreted, rather, that is fantastic, that is called toll. So because the German person said, this is fantastic, using the word toll, the English-speaking person thought toll was the name of it, so it was not called toll-like receptor. That is a true story. If you tell enough people, it will become true. So it's called toll-like. It's discovered in fruit fly, and basically it is how the innate immune system starts off the immune response. So it's a very important way to activate the immune response by the innate immune system speaking to the specific immune system. But that doesn't happen. The T cells and the B cells and all those sorts of specific immune cells won't function. So Amanda went about diligently trying to detect the toll-like receptors in the Tasmanian devil and discovered a whole batch of them and found that they are expressed, found that they are active, and found the best combination, poly-IC and nickel-1, would stimulate an immune response. So I'll summarise Amanda's PhD in 3 seconds. Right, she's done, there's a bit of work done behind that. So now we have got MHC positive cells, and these toll-like receptors, the adjuvants, to try to boost the immune response. And that's the basis of that particular vaccine. And we took advantage of the wild devil recovery project, where we could immunise a whole bunch of devils in our laboratory situation. In the capital, we only had access to a couple of devils. We had access to 19 plus 33, quick bed, 62 did you say? 52 that. Most of those produced a response, right, which was really interesting. And some had 4 immunisations, some had 2. They were released later this later last year, early this year, in the monitoring, but as you will have heard, a couple of those devils did develop tumours, so we've still got a lot of work to do. We're going back in September to see how those devils are faring, and we're just crossing our fingers that maybe a miracle will happen, maybe they'll will recover. But at least we're getting an immune response. We know that devils can respond with our immunotherapies. We just have to get the combination right. So it's going to take a bit more time, but we'll get there. We'll get there eventually. Okay, we'll just finish off. We've got some good news and some bad news. What do you want first? Bad news, correct. So back in 2014, this devil was discovered on a remote camera. It looks like it's got DFTD. It was assumed to be a DFTD. We got the sample, brought it back to the lab, and looked it down, put it in culture, looked at the microscope, and we had this big argument in the lab. Someone said, no, that's DFTD for sure. Someone said, no, it's not, they're fibroblasts. And we all were confused as to what it was. And then when we analysed it in more detail, it wasn't DFTD, it was another cancer. And we thought nothing more of it. Just some devils do get cancer, and spontaneous rise, until another call, another devil, same symptom, Ruth lab looks different, and then we discovered that, well, Ruth Pye discovered that it was a second track. So it's a diligent work by Ruth in the lab to identify, and with Amanda, we have discovered a second transmissible cancer in Tasmanian devils. So Tasmanian devils, not only do they get one transmissible cancer, but they get 2. Transmissible cancers are extremely rare. Tasmanian devils, and the other species that get it, dogs. A canine venereal transmissible tumour in dogs, and there are some transmissible leukemias in soft shell cancer. So why did devils get 2? Right? Why did they get 2? I thought maybe it's coincidence or is it fate? And so I think, well, what are the chances? I thought, okay, I'll do some research. Lightning. Anyone here been struck by lightning? Right. I thought, well, chance of being struck by lightning are pretty remote. Would it be possible to be struck by lightning twice? And this man, Ryan Wolf, was struck by lightning. Lightning drop. Is anybody in the audience called Rob? Anyone? Right, because if you're known to ride, do not go outside during the thunderstorm. Okay. No, we have to. How many times have you experiment? Did you say 3? Correct. Right? Go to 3 out of 3. So what's another coincidence of winning the lottery? Has anyone won the lottery twice? So I did my research, and a man won Tasmania twice in 6 weeks. So that's starting to prove my theory that is just chance. Then I got really clever. I thought, what's the possibility of being struck by lightning and winning the lottery? So it is proving me my theory that, you know, chance does happen, the odds can get against you and things can happen. And what's it, 1 in 2.6 trillion? How many zeros is that? That's a lot of zeros, so that's the chance. And then I thought, 3 out of 3. You know when you get really confident and you go one step too far? What's the maximum number of times a person has been struck by lightning? And I discovered Roy Sullivan was struck by lightning 7 times. And that proves my theory for good. It was just pure chance. But then I made the mistake of delving into it a little bit further. And guess what Roy's occupation was? He was out in the field, right? Out in the open during storms. So he was at risk. So then I started thinking, well, maybe there's something special about the devils that makes them susceptible to transmissible cancers. I've got quite a few theories. And after a few years later on, I can explain those theories. The theories get more wild, but after the more years you know. There are potential theories. So what was I up to? Done the bad news, good news. Okay, the good news is, and again, Ruth has, with her collaborators, Mena and Rodrigo at Biological Science, we have discovered a couple of devils in the wild that had small tumours, went back, recaptured them. The tumours had disappeared, and when we analysed their serum, they had antibodies to the tumour cells. So some devils are recovering. So it is possible for devils to recover. And also something's happening out there that the story is something a lot more positive than it has been in the past. So I'll just finish off with some acknowledgements. First is my wife Rhonda, who stood by me during fair weather and not so fair over the last how many years. I need to acknowledge the funding bodies, bookended. My career started with support from the David Collins Leukemia Foundation. Without their support, I wouldn't have had a career in research. And bookended at the other end by the funds from the State of Tasmania Devil Appeal, and that has kept our research labs going. This year, without their funding, we wouldn't be going. We're hoping to get big ARC grants for next year. Now, has anyone been paying attention? On someone's table, underneath it, is this symbol. If it's on your table, your seat, you want to follow it. Funding from NHIC, ARC and the Cancer Council for a number of years, particularly for the Dendritic cell work, and more recently funding from a whole range of different funds. We're continually applying for research grants. Staff present, I mean, one of the great things about working at a university environment is everyone is collaborative, everyone is supportive. It's such a nice environment. I would not have survived in the real world. Everyone is so friendly, so supportive, and I do acknowledge everyone that I work with. It has been an absolute privilege to work with everyone. Even the union's been great. Different people working in the lab over the past years, that everyone has contributed some way or another, and the numbers keep building up. A lot of people are present. I acknowledge Bruce, who will sort of be taking over from my main role. I'll be watching, and when things are going well, I'll reappear. I'll be somewhere else. The Devil Keepers, Junior Ralph, who's been great looking after devils, the team at the Save the Devil program have been very supportive. Greg Irons at Bonnerong, he's got such enthusiasm, he'll let us do anything. but you start to say, you can't do that. And it's been really great. Lots of collaborators, CSL, the UK, Sydney, throughout the university. It's big. The project gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's a very hard one to manage. Everyone seems to work well together. And I'll finish up with acknowledging the past students, but the many honours students, many postgraduate students. I'll include the ones where I've been a supervisor or co-supervisor. And I must admit, I tell you what, there have been thousands of undergraduate students, medical students. Every single one, except one, every single one has been a great pleasure to teach. One of the enjoyments about working in university and teaching is great fun. And when the students respond, it is a real pleasure. And hopefully, hopefully, out of these thousands of students, maybe half a dozen understand something. And with that, I'll thank you, and it's good night from me.
Thanks, Greg. We normally have questions. I think that we won't take any at this stage for a number of reasons. Those who need to defend themselves can do it in private later. But Greg, that was just stupendous. There are a whole lot of take-home messages from that. I loved personally seeing the continual reliance upon bioassays to tell you what's going on. And for me, as someone who was trained in science a number of years ago, remembering that the body will tell you what's happening is a really important lesson in there, but also the sophisticated combination of modern technologies which allow that precise molecular dissection is actually really important. I would also like to echo the words that Alison said earlier about your generosity and your the gifts that you've given to us. You've been very generous to me since my arrival. I also note when I talk with colleagues in the school about you, they talk about your reliability, your generosity. You still turn up and supervise exams for us and things along those lines. And that for me says that you're the consummate academic who understands the complexity and the completeness of what university life's all about. It's about going from the undergraduate teaching through to the high-level science and bringing it all together. I just want to make one final comment. I think you should look around the room and in doing so take a hell of a lot of pride from the people that are here. So not only are the regular people here who turn up to the School of Medicine seminars, that's about 15 people. But you have your family, you have old colleagues that have come along to visit you, people out of retirement, your PhD supervisor here. Where's Ray? He's hiding. There's Ray. But also, there's quite a number of the professional staff here. And they're here they're here because they respect you, as we all do. After we give another round of applause to Greg, we're continuing the celebrations upstairs on the top level, and everybody's welcome to come and join us, so please do so. Greg, thanks so much.